Welcome to Home and Away, a Tottenham Hotspur podcast hosted by myself, Graeme Spice and Glen Cowie, where we discuss all things Tottenham Hotspur from both the match attending and international supporters' view. This episode will be joined by Richard Stafford from the Kiwi Spurs, and we'll be reviewing the Atletico match from this week and preview the Liverpool match this weekend, plus all the other chaos around the club. A lot to get into, so let's get into it.
Let me be the one that you turn to, someone you can rely on, closer each day, home and away.
Glenn, what in the name of Hod and all things good is wrong with our club?
God, I said I've got to get my daughter to softball in an hour. I don't know if I've got enough time to answer
You're switching sports.
Yeah, exactly. At least I can go and enjoy that one. I'm just bereft. It's funny. I was messaging with a very good mate of mine, and he wants to come on, by the way. He lives around the corner. He's a Spurs fan. He's from Essex originally. He's a top lad. And I was messaging with him, and I said, isn't it mental that the first time in our history, 144 years, we've never lost 6 in a row, and now we have? And he responded, he goes, quite an impressive stat, really, that we've never actually lost 6 in a row, because there's been some absolute dross over that 144 years.
Well, we've been relegated a few times, and we still never managed to do it.
So that's happened. I think it's Igor Tudor's the first ever manager to lose his first 4 games. Is that right? I believe.
Yeah.
I think that's another little stat we've broken.
Even at 3, I think he was the first one to lose his first 3 games, I think.
Yeah. So to answer your question, Graeme, what in the name of Hod is going? I don't know. I'm going to pivot to Richard to help me out here. I don't know what I've got. Richard, over to you. Welcome back, by the way,
nothing.
Richard. Welcome
Hi,
back,
guys.
Richard. What have you got for us?
Glenn, Graeme, I've got nothing spectacularly, no silver bullet, nothing spectacularly new. Just, I think, when you kick an animal when it's down, and that's how it feels at the moment. Everyone's putting the boot in, and I think it's quite ironic to some degree, funny but not, that the 2 centre-backs that we had playing on Tuesday, Wednesday time were taken off for concussion and are not going to play, Paulinho and Cowie. And that means that all our senior players are going to be missing for the Liverpool game. So how can you prescribe for that? How do you, even Igor Tudor, who's a complete and utter, he's got it so wrong it's not even funny. How can you actually blame him for those sorts of things, right? You can blame him for a lot of things, right? Because he's clearly missed the boat. But how do you actually blame him for the 2 centre-backs who really probably need to take you forward, being concussed and
taking each other out as well? It wasn't even...
It was staggering to me. Like, we talked off air a little bit. Like, I shared a story about when I played, and I was always more a defensive-minded player, but one of the first things I was taught to put your name on the ball. Did that happen in that instant?
No. Not unless the name is Al.
We used to get, do you know what? We used to get fined. It was a 50p fine if you said my ball. You weren't allowed to say my ball. It was Glen's ball. Like, you can't say my ball. Because mine, anyone could have said that.
Here's the thing, right? So I heard some mystic pundit turn around and said, Spurs got absolutely mullered because Atletico could have had 11. We could have had 6, right? Quite easily, right? Now, if you take away the 3 stupid mistakes, and we'll come on to that later, no doubt.
It was a draw.
It was a draw. Right. Now, if you then think about how mundane we were, we actually made some decent chances. And if we could put those chances, I mean, Charleston header was a corker, decent save.
Yeah, but the only thing, do you not think that they took their foot off the gas once they got 3 up or 4 up?
Whether that's true or not, Graeme, and I do believe that's true, so no criticism there. But even if that was true, there's no guarantee that they could have actually gone up through the gears again because we've actually got measure of them.
I think obviously we'll come on to Kinski in a minute, but there's something wrong with that pitch, right?
Well,
because it was like everyone was falling over everywhere on the pitch.
Wasn't it Madrid derby they played not so long ago, and a lot of the Real Madrid players...
There's a problem with the Real Madrid pitch as well. Someone sent me a really good video.
Yeah, I saw that.
About the retractable pitches.
Pitch.
Yeah. Maybe there's something there that needs to be looked at for our own pitch and why we have so many injuries. Maybe.
But just coming back to Richard's point, I lean into that a bit, Richard, because I was messaging with some mates here after that game. And for me, Tudor's done. Like, whatever happens against Liverpool, I believe that he's gone. It's been a fucking nightmare. But the fact of the matter is, attacking-wise, if you're another manager looking at that, and I'm not saying we're going to appoint him, but let's say it is Redknapp with a combo of Defoe and Michael Dawson and Les Ferdinand and whatever, and they're looking at that game, there's a bit to be encouraged by in terms of what we created. Solanke, I think he scored 6 now since he's come back from injury.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is, I believe if you give Solanke the service and Richarlison the service, they will score. It's just the service that they're not getting on a regular basis.
Well, I know Graeme kind of is with me on this. I actually think we miss Odobert more than a number of people think.
Yeah,
I think he was just getting into the groove of supplying the players and actually taking a few shots himself and getting closer to the goal, because his efforts towards the beginning of the season meant that Rose Ed was
wild.
worried. Yeah, that's right. And towards the time before he got injured, he was actually hitting the target. So I think Odobert has been a bigger miss than we think.
He's certainly been a bigger miss than Kudos, in my opinion.
I think so, yeah.
But then I thought for the last few games, well, probably after about the first 4 or 5 games, Kudos stopped trying to go around the outside of a man and started cutting back inside all the time. And so we'd lose momentum every time we attack with the ball. He'd break quickly, but then he'd slow everything down and they'd get back in shape.
Do you think in any way, shape or form, right, that any of the coaching staff has told the group of attacking players that we have to run at a group of 4 defenders at a time? Because that's what we do. Tell does it. Mawani does it. What's Odobert started to do it. Kudos does it. They just run directly at defenders. Now, any person with a top 2 inches that's switched on will know if there are 4 defenders in front of you, that's 3 defenders that aren't marking one of our players. So what you do is you offload the ball. Yeah. Right? As quickly as you can, so that you get a fighting chance that they're not going to get back into place. What do? We just carry on running at defenders. And 9 times out of 10, we lose.
You might beat the first one, but you're not going to beat all 4 of them, are you?
Correct. And that's just something we've not done well enough all season. We haven't released the ball quick enough. There's a reason why people were calling it some kind of conspiracy. We haven't been awarded a penalty in the Premier League all season. Well,
you got to be in the box
its own
for that.
story. We're not creating enough, right?
Yeah.
To warrant that. Look, we touched on it briefly. We've got to talk about it. First off, Graeme, when you saw Kinski's name on the team sheet, what was your initial reaction?
Great.
Yeah.
Finally.
I was the same.
But I'll be honest, with hindsight, the Palace game was a much better game for him to do that, wasn't it, than this one? Yeah. This was like on the biggest stage, his first match in the Champions League. And I mean, that first 15 minutes of that match was like an essence of the entire season, really. It was like a microcosm of everything that's gone wrong this season in 15 minutes. It was like, it wasn't even like football. It was like some kind of performance art piece. I don't know. I can't even tell you. I could see it, but I couldn't process it. It was madness.
The principle of dropping Bukayo and playing Kinski, I agreed with. In a vacuum of doing it where Kinski hasn't played since October, you're away to Atletico Madrid in the knockout game of the Champions League, and you can't mitigate for what actually ended up happening. But I feel sorry for the guy, big time. I think obviously Tudor's got it massively wrong. But Richard, what was your take, mate, on the basis of picking him in the first place? Remove what happened for a moment.
Well, yeah. Yeah, so the phrase I might want to use, Graeme, is like watching the Keystone Cops, right? So
it almost felt like you should have had a canned laughter track in the background. It was that bad, wasn't it?
So put that one to bed. The word you used was hindsight, right? And in hindsight, then a lesser game would have been the right thing to do. And I don't know whether that was the right thing to do because Vicario actually needed a bit of a break and someone could work on him, or whether someone actually thought Kinski's in better form, even though he hasn't played since October. But you don't put a kid in for an Atletico away game in the European Cup, right? You just don't do things like that. It's the sort of thing that Roy the Rovers would have done in the old books or the old comics and made a critical success of it and then suddenly become a superstar. You know, in the real world, it doesn't happen. There was a lot of talk amongst the Kiwi Spurs that Kinski wasn't that good and he had a bit of an attitude problem and he really couldn't raise his standards. If that was the case and that was historically how the coaching team thought of him, why did they pick him? What did they think he would bring to this game in particular that Vicario didn't have? And I can't think of anything, right? So Vicario's not in good form, but you don't drop your number one goalkeeper for an important game away from home in the European Cup. That's my opinion.
The only thing I can think of is there's only two reasons that you would do it, right? Number one, that Vicario's fatigued and needs a break because he's been playing solidly all season. But I don't think that's the case because it was a big break between the games, right? It wasn't like we didn't play at the weekend and then play again on a Tuesday. There was a gap between the games. It was Thursday, then Tuesday, right? So it's a big enough gap that it shouldn't have been an issue. And the other one is his distribution has been absolutely dog shit most of the season, Vicario. Like, I think he launched one straight out of play off the end of the pitch, didn't he? Like in the last game. So like maybe he just thought he can't do any worse, and then he proved that was actually possible. Like maybe it was something like that. It's the only thing I could think of that maybe he felt like with better distribution, we keep the ball more frequently.
Yeah. Well, the third one could have been that he being Vicario may have been carrying a bit of a knock or an injury or something.
Yeah.
So I'm with you on that, but. The principle of soccer management, football management, is that you don't drop your number one goalkeeper in an important game like that.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. Do I think Kinski's a good goalkeeper? I don't think he'll play for Tottenham again. I think he'll be another Karius, the goalkeeper for Liverpool a few years ago. I think they'll move him on. And I think, for his own career, that may not be a bad idea. But that then leaves us with this horrible situation where Vicario we don't want because he's error prone.
He wants out as well, by all accounts. So yeah,
and he wants to go, and then Kinski goes. So we've got no goalkeeper next year, but that's next year.
Yeah, well, let's see what bloody division we're in next year before we can think about what players we need or deserve by that point.
We could get Josh Keeley back from Luton.
Yeah. I mean, the irony is, I think it's 3 of the English clubs all have a 3-goal deficit going into the second leg, don't they? Because Man City got pumped. Chelsea lost by the same result we did. I see no hope for the second leg whatsoever. Like, in terms of it's over. It's largely dependent now. Is it going to be Tudor who's in charge? And what do they do? Like, do they just pick fringe players, kids? Because there's not a lot of
I don't think we'll have a choice, will we? Because
I don't
think we'll have a choice. Isn't Romero and Polini, if we're following concussion protocols, that they'll be out as well for the next match.
So you'd expect Van der Ven.
Do you see 10 days, isn't it, after
I think it's 10
that?
days. Yeah.
So we won't see them till the Forest game. So again, who's playing in that match?
Could you imagine what the atmosphere might be like? Go back to your 3-goal deficit, Glen, because I think that's a really valid point, right? Do you see what the atmosphere would be like at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium if we beat Liverpool? I know it's a big if, right? And no one expects us to do this. But if we did, however we did it, right? Imagine what the atmosphere would be like at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Miracles could happen, you see. And that's the thing. That's the thing that the team doesn't seem to understand, that the belief by the fans that we can do this, right? We as the collective, obviously, will give them the backdrop of the support of all the fans in the stadium. But if you don't show that willingness, that belief, that kind of fight, you're not going to get the comeback from the fans. You're not going to get the support of the fans. You're not going to get them urging you on because you don't know what you can do.
Saw in a similar vein, I saw Ange Postecoglou spoken to on the side of the pitch. I think he was at the Chelsea game, and his basically narrative was they don't need to really be reminded they're good players. It's just, you are, because you've seen that. It's just the confidence and the raising it back to where it was, because he's closest to all of them, right? He's seen that. But it comes down to belief. But then, Graeme, you'd shared in the pre-notes for this that I hadn't known this, but there's many bad eggs maybe in the squad, but is there a particular player that doesn't give a shit about relegation?
The name hasn't come out, but apparently somebody has said to the other players, I don't really care if we go down.
Van der Ven, I reckon.
I'll be off anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know, but if someone said that in front of other players, there's a lot of resentment, I think, from some of the players because of that. Not everyone's down tools, right? There's enough people there that you would think that would really piss you off if you were a player and you were putting.
Well, it could be Kalo Muani, in which case he was on loan anyway. So
I'd stick him in a Karen and fire him into the channel now anyway. I just don't. it's absolutely no value at all.
Yeah.
Whatever happens, stay up or not, let's work in the world that we stay up. Van der Ven, Romero, they can go. They can go. Honestly, I'm sick of it. They can go. And if we can convince that Vuskovic...
I think for the culture of the club to evolve, and it needs to, like, massively, we need an absolute clear out. I really think that there's half a dozen players that can go to the day after the season finishes for whatever money we can get for them, and then we build a war chest, and then we go out and we completely rebuild, irrespective of whether we go down or stay up. I think that that's absolutely necessary. That there's something broken culturally with the club.
So look, here's the thing. Going back to the point you made about Pochettino, can't remember if it was pre this, but Pochettino was the boss, right? He's one, like you said at the time, who made decisions from the bottom of the club all the way up, who he wanted, and he got rid of players he didn't want, like Adebayor.
Cabal.
Yeah. That's right. So here's the thing. I've bleated on with our group and a little bit with you guys about the fact that, Missy van der Ven is fantastic going forward, but he can't defend in front of him, right?
Yeah.
He is not as good a centre-back as the plaudits and the pundits seem to make him out to be. He blocks well, and so does Danso, by the way. Danso is a fantastic...
I really like Danso, though.
I do too. He's much, much more of a decent centre-back. He's
a better defender than...
He's a better defender.
The difference, Van der Ven's only real strength is his pace, which allows him to recover a lot when he's in the wrong position or when he's...
Correct. So if you don't get yourself in...
And also his range of... I think I saw someone else talk about this. Sorry, Richard. Was that his range of passing is quite limited as well. And he tends to pass to three people.
Yeah.
The centre-back, the goalkeeper and the full-back. And not really anyone else.
And the thing is that someone came up with some percentage. When Van der Ven plays with Cowie, the loss percentage goes right down, and the chances like 53% of all games have been won with those two playing. Well, yeah.
I'm not sure that's as true this season, though, is it? It doesn't.
No, I was going to say, if
maybe last season.
How many have we actually won with them playing, though? It's just,
The fact of the matter is, though, to Graham's point on the clear out and the players that this is living in a world that we are in the Premier League next season. Who are we kidding to think that any player that's world class or like that's not the pathway we need to start to take? The pathway is a complete rebuild from the ground up with young, hungry, and not in a bigoted way in any way, shape or form, but maybe a bit more of a British and English culture as well to the club, Have we lost our way a bit with, and you could argue that it's not just because there's players from other leagues and other countries, maybe it's a combination of two things, that and also the fact that it's
an identity thing, isn't it?
Conte's players, like it's a combination of all these managers' players. So it needs to be a bit of a refocus, a complete rebuild, but let's have a very clear identity on what we are and what we want to become. And if that means taking it on the chin for a couple more seasons of finishing 10th or 11th or 14th, so be it. If I see a pathway and an actual plan, I'll take it, right? That's what I'm more pissed off.
And I think that's kind of what happened with Poch before, right? Is that he did rely a lot on the younger player. He had Bentaleb and he had Mason and then obviously Kane coming through. So he had a lot of young... Yeah, that came in about a year afterwards, right? The next summer. But he really cleared out all of the older players who were probably got fixed mindsets, who weren't interested in getting on board. And he started with these malleable younger players who he could build in the image that he wanted for the team and the culture of the club. And I think that was why it was so successful, because he wasn't given like world-class players. He was given the raw materials and he shaped them into well, in one or two cases, world-class players.
It's incredible. I think there's some crazy stat. I don't know what the actual number is, but he's responsible for the first England caps than any other manager is in terms of
mad,
players.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it's a mad stat.
Walker, Dyer, Mason, Kane.
But even go back to Southampton as well. Ward-Prowse, and there's several others. So
Walcott?
Yeah.
I
think
or was that before?
That was long before. But yeah, the point is he has got a great history in moulding and making young English players better. Danny Rose,
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
he was out, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I never forget. I saw Danny Rose. It was Danny Rose was on loan at Sunderland, and I went to the training ground to watch an under-18s match with my kids. And Danny Rose a few of the players were watching the match, and Danny Rose was there, and he was trying to get a lift to the station to get his train back up to Sunderland. No one would give him a lift, but but he was gone, and no one would have missed him at that point.
Yeah.
He was nowhere near the first team, nowhere near it, and then he became.
Look, one of the biggest travesties is what happened to Danny Rose. In my view, Danny Rose was still, I wouldn't say an international class defender, but he was a decent defender. And I think it was crazy. I know the criticism that went on, and he obviously believed he was right. Here's the thing, right? Nowadays, you got social media that will chastise them, but 50% of whoever listens to what a player has to say agrees with them or believes what they say is 100% truthful or the only view, whichever. But what happened to Danny Rose was crazy. I mean, he was still a decent footballer, and I don't understand why we allowed that to happen.
The thing is, until Udogie, we didn't really even replace him. I mean, it's basically Ben Davies.
Yeah.
Who was never supposed to be
him. We had Ben Davies. We didn't replace him.
But Ben Davies was never supposed to be a first choice defender, I don't think. I think he was always a squad player, but he persisted where others fell away, I guess, or fell out of favour, rather.
Do you know, one ray of sunshine is, and I know we've got practically, or I've got practically no leg to stand on in saying this, but I kind of like the look of this Sousa.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah?
I do too. Yeah, the little I've seen of him, I like him.
This has actually been good for him, right? Because I don't think he was really going to get any, without injury, he wasn't getting near the first team. So at least by the end of the season, he probably would have played 6 to 10 games in the first team, and that would be good experience for him.
I think so.
Because for his season in the Championship next year.
Well, you know,
one of the guys on our side absolutely chastised his first 5 minutes in the first game he played. And I thought to myself, yeah, but just look at his touch. Just look at his eagerness to want to do the things.
Well, and also, Richard, his eagerness to get beyond, going forward, getting beyond and getting into that
overlap and crossing.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So I think there's a little bit of hope. I mean, go back to the point you make about the clear out. I do think there are 1 or 2 exceptions. I think if we could keep Gray.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, we have to build a team around him. For me, he's a future captain.
For me,
I'd make him captain now, in fact.
The spine, I hope that he stays and we don't sell a player we've never seen in a Spurs shirt. The spine for me is Vuskovic, Gray in central midfield, Bergvall. You know, there is a really good core. And Ange Postecoglou said it. He's one of his interviews, as I think we're before the semi-final or maybe before the final. And he said, there's a really good crop of young players here, and I hope I'm the one to get to work with them in the future. Celabi, he's not. But, there is. There
Spoiler
really
alert.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, there really is a good crop there.
Well,
just coming back to something you just said, Graeme, in terms of Sousa being really good in the Championship. Now, we were off air. I don't know where I'm finding this from. I think we're going to find a way and we'll figure this out and we'll end up with 9 points and we'll be okay. But a story, and perhaps, Graeme, you can make this into one of your fabulous shorts that you do. So my mum was visiting in December into January for Christmas into New Year, and then I obviously FaceTime with her and stuff. Now, a lot of people talk about the 70s when we went down. We actually came pretty close in season 93-94, and it gets a bit overlooked. We had to play Oldham away, and we needed a result. And Mickey Hazard came back to the club.
That pitch it looked like the Somme. Yeah. It was awful.
Leading up to that game and that period of being a Spurs, I think we ended up finishing 16th. But anyway, I was 11, right? When your mum says it's time to go to bed and you get put in bed as a kid and you know, give him a kiss on the head and the thing, I'm not worried about the monsters or I'm going to have a nightmare or anything like that. I would turn to my mum and I'd hold her hand and I'd say, we're not going to get relegated, are we, Mum? Please tell me we're not. That would be my concern. That would be my nightmare. So now I'm back to that way of thinking of being like, I was FaceTiming my mum the other day and she goes, do I need to tell you, Glen, you're not going to get relegated? Yeah.
It's so weird, isn't it, as well? Because I'm old enough and Richard is to remember the 77 season where we went down last time.
Was it different then, though, in the sense, Graeme, that...
Well, I was 6, so it was a lot different.
Sure. But do you think
No, it's completely different. That actually that was going to be my point, is that the difference between the money in a League One and a League Two team back then was really about gate receipts, nothing more, because there was no television money floating around, right? And sponsorship.
That's a really, really good point. I know it goes slightly off topic from what we said we were going to talk about, but one of the big problems as fans that we used to always throw at chairmen of football clubs was we pay the players' wages. We don't anymore, right?
Yeah,
because
that's actually a really good
the
point.
percentage of gate receipts per game, although a big number, pales into insignificance based on the TV revenues, the merchandising revenues, and of course, from a Tottenham Stadium point of view, the number of events that they hold. So we're probably fourth. So all the bleating and moaning about how much you guys pay for your season tickets, how much I pay for when I turn up every third Wednesday in June, right? It goes out the window now, I'm afraid. So the club, to some degree, whether they've done it on purpose or not, have actually negated the fans' sort of like joker card in saying, well, we pay your wages, or we pay the wages of the players. We don't anymore, right? And here kind of comes my next point. You know, if we go down, Glenn, right, it's such a massive loss. Even the parachute payments won't help us really. The value of the club goes down. The likelihood is that the Lewis family wouldn't sell if they were to lose a third off of their valuation. So that means we may well get stuck with them for yet another season whilst they try and build, in their view, in their eyes, a way back up to the Premiership. So I don't necessarily think it's a good thing that we go down from an ownership point of view. What I'd like to see is the ownership change prior to a decision at the end of the year, whether we go down or not, end of the season, whether we go down or not. Because I think if there's a consortium that wants to buy us for 3.3 million, get rid of us now, come what may. Because that gets rid of the Lewis family, it gets rid of ENIC, it gets the clean sweep that you're after. And I'll say you.
There's nobody who's currently involved with the administration of the club at the moment that I would trust to get us out of the Championship.
Well, that's the point.
Not a man or woman there that I think would add any value or would even understand what it takes to get us out of the Championship.
Well, that's been proven in terms of like Igor Tudor's appointment was heavily, as Richard made the point before,
and the January transfer window. Every footballing decision has led us to this point, right?
Igor Tudor's appointment, that's a Paratici appointment. He's not even employed by the club anymore, right? So what are we doing?
But that all lands back at Vinay as far as I'm concerned.
That guy, dreadful leader.
Have you seen? I think it was yesterday. He'd basically thrown Daniel Levy under the bus, like everything that's wrong with the club at a FAB meeting. Apparently, he said that all the problems that we're currently facing are because of the way that he ran the club long term.
This is the same guy that was interviewed in the summer that said, "I'm not saying there's a war chest, but there's money to spend."
Yeah.
So which is it?
He's like, "Oh, we've got financial fair play issues because of how much money we've spent, but we weren't saying that when we were going to drop 80 million on Semenyo and 200 grand a week, were they?"
Yeah.
Or talking about how we're going to suddenly up our wage cap to higher. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
So
he's talking out both sides of his mouth, isn't he?
Well, yeah. Each major club that was a big club in the past, look at Leeds United in the 70s, for example, look at Newcastle in the 50s and whoever. They've all gone like this. Now we have a series of clubs that are owned by foreigners and interests, Americans, Saudi, whatever. Yeah. Who, in your view, is an exemplar administrative club? Is it Man City? Is it Arsenal? Is it Liverpool? Because they don't seem to have that internal strife like we do. And the difference between all of them and us is that it's a family. It's a family-owned, run business, right?
Well, the one that comes to mind, Richard, and I'm going to meet him at some point. I'm fortunate enough to have a client. There's a family connection to Tony Bloom at Brighton. Oh, yeah. And Brighton come to mind in terms of how they're run. And I had lunch with said client a few months back. And Tony's going to be here because I think his wife's from Melbourne and he's got an interest in a Melbourne club now as well. I can't remember which one it is. But that comes to mind, And in terms of how Brighton are run, it's run really, really well. And it is a really good product.
Even Brentford.
Brentford, yeah, another one.
They're good clubs working within the confines of the finances they have, right? They're not.
I personally think the best thing.
Does it get harder the more money you've got? I guess is the question.
Potentially, but the best thing I feel that the club can actually do as an entity, the business can do as an entity, I think they should divest the football club. Divest that part of the entity, right? To sell that off. Keep the rest of it. Keep the business. Keep the entertainment. And then whoever buys, there you go. There's a buyer background. Whoever buy that part of the business, which is the club, you're just divesting the club, the football part of it. They can then lease the stadium from the Lewis family or whoever it is that owns the business. And then the money and the focus can be solely put into the football. It doesn't need to be, for me, one big entity anymore. Because what's clear to me is you've got you've got a clear split here. You've got the business, which has the entertainment, the NFL, concerts, etc., etc., etc. The two coexisting for me doesn't work because the football's going to be neglected, and that's what we're seeing on the pitch.
Let's be honest, none of the money from any of the other shit ends up in the football.
Correct.
The football side of the business anyway,
divest
right?
the club, divest the football side of it, divest it, and then get a buyer.
But I think it suits them to have the things combined because you've got the constant revenue generation of the football, like the TV revenues, the gate receipts, or the merchandising and all of the sponsorship and everything you get through the football probably is what they use as collateral against their real estate deals because they've got this. It's like when you get a mortgage, right? You need an income. You have to show an income. So for them at the moment, the football's the income that they use they've leveraged the football to do all the other crap.
Let's say we go down and the TV money goes away.
This is the thing is that your operating capital will be an issue, will be a massive issue, which is why we'll have to clean house. There'll be half a dozen players we will have to sell just to probably to break even for the season.
You know, a guy that everyone can have an opinion on him, but a guy I really enjoy watching is Jamie O'Hara. I think he's funny. I think he's a celebrity in his own right now.
In his own mind.
He made a really good point in that he was interviewed and he said, people are going to lose their jobs. People that care about this are going to lose their jobs, you know? And that's what gets forgotten, I think. When it's little old, let's use, I don't know, Hull City as an example, right? People lost their jobs because Hull plummeted, right? When they were up and then they were all the way down. Same's going to happen at Spurs. Just because we're massive and we've got this beautiful, shiny stadium, the same's going to happen. People are going to lose their jobs. People that care about the club. And that's sickening to me. If it were to happen. And Jamie O'Hara made a good point about that. But, I mean, Richard, do you see any hope to stay up? Do you think we're going to get the 9 points that we need in the next 8 games? And also, part B to that question, do you think it'll be under Igor Tudor's stewardship or do you think he's gone regardless after the Liverpool game?
I can't see his style of dealing with players from what we hear and the media being enough to keep that group of players in a space that says we can do this. I think he'll be gone regardless after Liverpool. I would love us to beat Liverpool, believe me, for a number of different reasons. I hate Liverpool as much as I hate Arsenal, almost. So, no, I don't think he'll be here. The number of options on who would be here to the end of the season, I think, is reducing every day. Whether it's Sean Dyche, who seems to have become a forerunner, or whether...
I think that not that you're being disrespectful with that comment. I think as a narrative, I actually think it's quite disrespectful to Sean Dyche's pedigree to suggest he comes in for just 8 games. Like, if he's coming in, then
I think it damages his reputation if he does do it.
Yeah.
I actually
sorry, guys. Has someone got a rattlesnake in the room?
I can hear it's not me, is it?
I don't know.
It sounds like crickets or...
Both of you have got more dangerous species than I've got. Let's put it that way.
Do you know there are no snakes in New Zealand, though? It's quite interesting.
Really? What else have you got that's dangerous?
There's a cicada just outside here.
That's what it is.
There you go. Well, look, we're adding some Southern Hemisphere spice, Graeme.
If I could answer the first question, no, I don't think we're going to go down. I think we're going to do an Everton. I think we're going to run really close. I think probably the last game may have.
I don't think I could do that.
And just as an aside, Graeme, one of our sidekicks, Will Gawler, will be in England for that game. So
cool.
I think he's aiming to be at the game as well. So I think we're going to get away. But go back to I don't think Igor Tudor will last. I don't think he'll last beyond Liverpool. I think, and to your point about Sean Dyche, I think it is very disrespectful to Sean Dyche, but I think if anyone was going to ask Sean Dyche, it would be with a view to staying on
Yeah,
after the
agreed.
end of the season. So in that respect, I don't think we do his reputation any harm to either take us down and bring us back up again, or think about coming to Tottenham full stop. I actually think, and I don't like this as a preferred option, but I actually think having Harry as the mentor with a Defoe and a Dawson or a Ledley King to just rally the troops and get us out of the trenches
And I
is
think that's
probably
what
the
we
way to go.
need, isn't it? For me, we need that more than we need fancy tactics or systems. It's too far gone now. We just need something and someone or a group of someones to come in and feel what we feel and remind the players of what... Remind the players you're actually really privileged to be here, you know?
Yeah.
Get out there and fucking sort it out.
Yeah.
Graham, do you think we're going down, mate?
I'll be honest, I do. I don't see any fight in this squad.
You called this a while ago.
I've said this before. I said this squad has not got the stomach for this battle. They just don't. They're just not. No. This squad was put together to compete in the Champions League, not the Championship. And I just don't think that they know what they're doing. Like, if you look at, you've only got to look at the teams around us, even though the ones that are also in trouble, but they're fighting for their lives. Like West Ham, they're picking up points. Forest are picking up points. Even Wolves, like they're playing like they're probably like one of the highest teams in the form table at the moment. They keep picking up points, and I don't see the same fight from our players. I just don't. And I want to be wrong. I really want to be wrong, but at the moment, I have absolutely no confidence that we survive.
I think, in defence of what you've just said, I think this continuing continuing event of losing key players in every game could be the reason why we go down, right? I hear the issue about the fight. I still think that those teams around us, Forest and West Ham, have got another dip to come before the end of the season. And I think the goals against us may possibly save us as well, because I think there's at least one, maybe two good positive results in us. But I think if we continue to lose players, I think we could come a cropper. Apparently, Lincoln on a good day out is really nice.
Also,
I've been to Lincoln Cathedral once.
Don't we get 8 extra games for our season ticket?
Yeah, well, and on the note of season ticket, I got the same email you would have done, Graeme. How noble of them. They've extended our renewal period to June 7th.
Just in case you need a little bit more time to make up your mind.
And they've also added a paragraph in there that says, and we've again frozen the price. And I'm like, well, hang about. If we go
but
down...
you'll get 8 extra matches.
Yeah. It's like, but on your point of the players that we've got missing, so going into Liverpool, this is the list that we haven't got. They're all 100% missing.
Gallagher's got a virus. He might not play.
He's give him some ibuprofen and get him out there. But again, he's being played out of position in my view. He's not being used.
I don't think we know what to do with him. Just don't think. I don't think Frank knew what to do with him, and I don't think that Tudor's got any idea either.
I heard on I listened to the Last Word on Spurs yesterday, and one of their guests made a really good point in that we had Frank come in. He didn't fancy the player that thrived in Ange's system, which was Brennan Johnson. He was our top scorer. So he was binned off. Frank's been binned off. We've got Igor Tudor in the door. The signings that we signed under Frank, Gallagher and Xavi, have been on the bench more than they've seen grass, right? So it's this muddled, they don't seem to know or like what the other manager liked. So it's this...
Well, without Xavi, we look very pedestrian in midfield, don't we? We don't look like... No creativity. It's almost like just hit the ball, try and hit someone, make the ball stick.
Pat Mathis, I mean, we've lost him. I don't know, you talk about Gallagher, you don't know what he's doing. I don't know what Pat Mathis is doing anymore.
We've seen Sarr play really well.
Yeah.
That Europa League final, he ran that midfield. He was brilliant.
Is he a confidence player? And that it must be really hard to play in a team that's doing so badly, consistent, like all the time. It's not like there's no let up from it, is there? It's like every week.
I'm not suggesting this at all. We'll go back to Glen's point about having, well, you may have made it, Grant, about having more British players who understand what it means to be in the Premiership and what it means to other people in the club, whether it's the fans, the supporters, the woman who washes the shirts or whatever, does the catering, whether more British players would actually get what they need to do, and some of the foreign players don't. And like you say, they get down too quickly on themselves, or they get down too quickly when things get tough.
There is no time for moping about, is there? It's like, this is the thing is that, no, there's no, everyone needs to, we need everyone to come out and fight for it.
Yeah.
I think this is the thing, right? I'm not speaking about Tudor, right? I'm the fact that the players hate him, I don't actually care about, because ultimately, I don't care if the players hate him, but they at least look like a cohesive group. They can go out and win to spite him. I'm completely fine with that. He doesn't need to be their friend. But I think I don't see that they are galvanised against him. I don't see they're galvanised for him. They're just not galvanised. So he's the wrong person, and it's just not worked. I think we need to make a change.
And why
and also don't understand why we didn't make the change straight after the Atletico game in time for the Liverpool game.
This is my question, right?
Because now it's another match ticks off the sheet, right? So we're down to, after this, we'll be down to 8 matches. So whoever's coming in has got one less match to do something. Someone could have come in and literally put the wagons in a circle and got a point against Liverpool, and you think, great, that's another one off the list. And then we go with a bit more confidence into the next match. But I've already given up. I don't even really want to talk about the match. I only to say I can't even see what kind of 11 we'll put out. It's going to be a patched up mess.
Spare a thought for us down in Australia. Lichter's a bit different because he's 2 hours ahead. So his will be a 5:30 a.m. kickoff, and that's probably somewhat doable. It's just an early start to the day, right? Mine's 3:30 a.m. And what I invariably do, as you know, Graeme, I will go on blackout and I'll start that game around 6. I don't know if I want to really do that. I don't know if I want to prolong. Like, why? I may as well just check up and fucking.
It's in the afternoon for me, and I don't want to watch it either.
You get the option. You go for a walk with a dog.
Right, I've got a good excuse this Sunday. It's Mother's Day, isn't it? So I'll.
Shit! Thanks for the reminder. Well, because it's different here. It's different in Australia.
You've got the International Mother's Day. I had the same issue when I lived in Holland. There was like 2 Mother's Days, so it was always confusing.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at. I feel like just waking up on Monday morning, checking the score. We lost. We got a point. Oh my God, we won. That's not how I feel, and it's sad. It's really sad because it's part of my life that I've still got a bloody season ticket. I do this. I live and breathe Tottenham, and it's just sad that it's come to that for me because I look forward to watching games.
I can't, when you think about it, right, that we've been doing this now for 18 months, just over 18 months. We started at the beginning of last season.
Yeah.
So we've gone through 3 managers. We've won the Europa League. And then everything else it's like a period of the club's existence that I've not known anything like it. It's been so bad. So it's been really, really hard to continue talking about it without needing therapy. This used to be my therapy, and now I need therapy to talk about it.
I've now like put the podcast into a bit of a bucket of, I just like to see you, Graeme, of course, as a way for us to catch up, and then guests like Richard and others like, it's good to see you, mate. It's more of a community catch up. Now, one thing I did want to say on the topic of community, I put out a poll in our WhatsApp community, and it was basically a read on percentages of will we go down, will we stay up. I can tell you it's dead on 50-50. So read into that what you will. It's a complete split. There is no yes we are, no we're not. There is no sway. It just seems a complete split.
Do you know, you shouldn't in any way, shape or form, and until it becomes a dire situation, think about giving up doing these pods, right? For the simple reason that yesterday, before I went to pick my wife up, I always have a beer with a few friends. We've been doing it for 19 years. And there's a guy who I'll shout out for, a guy called Pete Coleman, who went to Southampton in the early 80s with a bunch of Kiwi guys. 2 or 3 of them were there. And every time I walk into the pub, he'll ask me 2 things. What's happening with your team? Meaning, what the fuck happened to Tottenham at the weekend? And he's a big Saints fan, so he knows everything about Southampton, bless him. And every time you mention anything about what you know to do with Tottenham, right, he will take it in. The guys around him will take it in. They'll ask a question. Now, they'll never be Spurs supporters. I've converted 2 or 3 who are actually members of the Kiwi Spurs, right? But they engage in conversation. They have a reason to ask you a question. And they'll know a player. Sonning, there was a teacher bless him, Brian, who's very friendly with the Korean society here. He's a deputy head, or was retired deputy head. He went up to Seoul. He was up in Seoul the same time Spurs played up there, and he knew and wanted to know everything about Sonny. Don't ever stop doing these things, because the touch points may not necessarily be important to us, but the touch points are the conversation piece that other men have with other men. And when you stop having those conversations don't go on. They don't have so much of a reason to talk to you. And I think that's really, really, really important.
It's really good point, Richard. Thank you for that. But go to you, Graeme. I've got one thing to say, but go, mate. Go, Graeme.
What I can say is that I will not stop doing this, because I think it's, even if we go down, I'll quite happily talk about how shit we were last night against Lincoln. That's not an issue for me. But actually the kind of community that we've built with the people, some of the reoccurring guests that we've got, like yourself, Richard, and others, and I've had the opportunity to meet one or two of you in person at the stadium. It's been fantastic for me. And it's probably the only thing that's got me through this last 18 months. We obviously had the highs of the Europa League, but everything else around it, even that season, the league season, was abysmal, wasn't it? And then this season's been a real grind. Yeah, it's love doing this for the opportunity to talk to other people who at least understand it, or understand how I feel as well.
That was the whole point of it, right? Tottenham Home and Away was always to have guests from home and away. Like, we wanted to, and we've achieved that, and it's been great. But to your point, Richard, not to go too much on an unrelated but related tangent, there is one in New Zealand, actually. It's it's called When No One's Watching. It's a registered charity. It's a very simple concept. It's free. We meet 6 a.m. every Wednesday morning, a group of guys. Anyone's welcome. We do a light workout. We do 60 push-ups in a waterfall. So we'll go 1, 2, 3 to recognise 60 lives lost to suicide around the world every hour. And then we have a circle of trust, and we have a chat. And then we go for a coffee and a bit of connection. So in the spirit of what you just said, it's exactly the same, right? It's connection. And it's combating loneliness. And it's me knowing if I'm ever in New Zealand, I've got Richard I can message and go and have a pint. You know?
Can I just add as well, and this kind of brings it all back to Spurs. Being a supporter, right, doesn't mean you're only a supporter when things are good or when you've got good news. You mentioned earlier, Glenn, about Spurs being relegated, the feeling that you might have if Spurs got relegated. Well, as Graeme said, I do remember 1977, and I do remember the fact that we only went back up again on goal difference against Brighton. And I remember seeing living in Southampton, the Saints went up the same season, of course. I can remember going to see some of these really lowly clubs, and the quality of football was shite. And I'm thinking to myself, what are we doing in this fucking division? We've got to get out. But that's what a supporter is. It isn't just spending 85 quid for one of these. It's actually talking through things and trying to get a different perspective of what's good and what's not good. I mentioned Odebert, right? The fact that we've got 13 other players injured, I just thought that Odebert actually has made a difference in our run this season. Now, in seasons gone past, that might have been a Ndombele or a Musa or a Gascoigne or whoever. But being a supporter means supporting your team when things aren't going as well as when things are going well. And I absolutely loved the Europa with all the guys here in New Zealand. And I couldn't think of a better place to be with all your mates. But at the same time, when things are shit and we're playing crap, and the attitude of everybody, whether it's media, whether it's your mates or whatever against Tottenham, is going against you, you still got to be a supporter. I do. What else are you going to do? Who else are you going to support, for Christ's sake?
Exactly. You can change your partners, you can change your sex, you can change your political party, but there's nothing an unwritten rule. You cannot change who you support.
No.
Or will I?
No.
It's a funny old thing. So bringing it back around to the game that I may or may not watch, but after hearing that from you, Richard, I think I will watch it on delay and I will just strap in and see what happens. Thinking of that game ahead, is there any hope for us, Graeme? What's your prediction, mate? Can we go there and get a point, or are we just going to get pumped?
4-1 Liverpool.
There you go. Okay, I'm going to say it's going to be slightly closer than that, but I think we'll lose 3-1 maybe. Richard,
this isn't the one. This is, for me, this is just a gimme. I think
Get it out of the way, and then it's that run of that. Those
this isn't
4 games. It's Forest.
I'd be very happy if we got anything out of it, but I just can't see it.
Yeah,
Mostly because of the lack of players.
This is the game to oust. That will oust Tudor.
Yeah.
All right. I think we're going to lose, but I don't think Liverpool are that good. If Salah and who's a Szoboszlai, who I rate and plays well, that will lift them. I don't think Liverpool much this season. I still think we're going to get 2-1, something like that. I think we'll get a goal.
We've played a lot of games. Sorry, no, go ahead, Richard.
Sorry, very quickly. Isn't it funny the players that we didn't want to play for our team, people like Kolo Muani and Tell, are both uninjured?
Yeah.
All I'll say about Liverpool is that we've played a lot of teams on terrible runs who have been playing awful, who have played us. We've gone full Dr. Tottenham for all of them, right? And we could reignite Liverpool's season like we do for so many other teams. And that, I mean, even like West Ham were dead and buried before they played us.
Yep.
And we gave them something. We gave them confidence. Like Somerville suddenly looks like Cruyff or something. Yeah.
Well, since we've played Fulham and made them look like Barcelona, they've lost at home to West Ham and lost at home to Southampton.
Yeah.
So it's one of those, isn't it? But
before we finish, I saw it this evening and I shared it with you. Ash Phillips is out on loan at Stoke, right? And he's been there all season, I think.
I think he's been there 2 years now.
Yeah, I think this is his second season.
Yeah.
But I think he played, I don't know if it was a match this week. He's made captain.
Yeah.
He captained Stoke. He's 20.
Yeah.
And he's on a loanee and he's captaining the team. So that says a lot for his character, for a young player.
Yeah. Well, funnily enough, one of my colleagues in Sydney, he's from Stoke, is a Stoke fan. And it came up. First thing he said to me, I walked into the pub on Wednesday night, or Wednesday after like 5:30. He was already there. And he just pointed at me and he went, sit down. You're going down. We're playing each other next season. Ash Phillips is a good defender. Yeah. So that was a Stoke fan's viewpoint. So yes, he sounds like he's got a good character, good head on his shoulders. Yeah, well, I've got to get to my my other love, which is my daughter and her game of softball. So I'm going to wrap up myself there. As always, come on, you Spurs. Please, let's hope beyond all the football gods hope we can get something against Liverpool. I don't see it. I think the games after that are where we maybe see something. But onwards, and come on, you Spurs.
Yeah, thanks ever so much for joining us again, Richard. Appreciate it. It's been
great to have you on, Richard.
Bit of a last-minute addition to the team, but always appreciate having you on. Thank you.
No worries. Lovely to speak with you guys. Take care.
Yeah, we'll leave it. Do you want to close us out there, Graeme?
Thanks to everyone who listened in. Please like and subscribe to the podcast to tick all the algorithms so we can get in front of more Spurs supporters. And as Glen already said, come on, you Spurs.
Let me be the one that you turn